In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this portfolio website right here. We're using Weebly as our website builder, and if you really like to kind of get in there and design and build the layout of your pages, Weebly is a really good choice for that. So let's take a quick look at the website we're going to be building. So here we've got this great home page with a nice big splash screen. I'm kind of using this big hero image that I took as kind of the sort of image of the type of photography I'd like to do more of. I think that's really important when you're building your portfolio, is you want to show the work that you've done that's the kind of work that you want to do, whether it's in graphic design or art or whatever it is. The thing you want to show off the most is the type of work that you want to do. So I've got that right up here, right up front. I've got a little bit about me down here in this section, and then I link to the various different portfolio pages or the different styles of portfolio that I do. And not only do I link to it down here on the home page, but also if you go over here to portfolios, you can click on portfolios, and then it links to it here. It's also going to link to it in the drop-down menu, and I'll show you exactly how to build that drop-down menu. It's very easy to do. And we've got our portfolio pages here where I'm showing off some of the fire photography that I have. I've got a different style portfolio page here, kind of sort of a masonry grid that I built, and I'll show you how to do that. And then, of course, very important, we've got an About Me page with a way for people to be able to contact us if they're interested in our services. And also, I think it's a good idea to kind of show off and do some salesmanship for whatever your art is, graphic design, photography. So I built a kind of a sales page that is a case study that talks about one of the photo shoots that I did. And so I've got a little bit of a description of what the scenario was that I did the photo shoot for. I put in a video, which is a time lapse of me building the set out, and I kind of talked a little bit about that. And then I talked a little bit about the different shots that I got that the client specifically wanted, so sort of like these detail shots. And of course, at the bottom of it, we've got a call to action, so asking people that if they're interested in this kind of photography to get in touch with us. So if you're interested in following along with this tutorial, keep watching. If you like where this is going so far, give me a thumbs up. I'm Tim from realwebsitehints.com, and it's my mission to help you find the best and easiest ways of building great websites. Now, before we get started, Weebly is one way of making a website, but if you want to see what my top recommendations are for building a portfolio website, check out the links down below and at the top of the screen, and I'll show you guys what my top recommendations are for building websites in general, and what my top recommendations are for building portfolio websites, and those videos will be coming out soon. If you're watching this tutorial and you're looking for something a little bit easier to build your portfolio website with, I did just take a look at Jimdo, and I'll link to a video down below where I built a portfolio website with Jimdo, and you don't have anywhere near the kind of layout and design control that you have with Weebly, but it is a really fast and easy alternative to Weebly for building a great portfolio website really easily. So you might want to check that out also. Now let's go ahead and dive in and see how I built this portfolio website. Okay, so to get started, what we're going to do is we're just going to click on the link down below the video. Using the link at the bottom doesn't cost you anything extra, and it helps to support this channel and helps me to provide these free tutorials for you and to review and test the website products that I do. So if you use that link down below, I definitely appreciate it, and I thank you for your support. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to take you to a page like this, and all you got to do is just click on website, because in this example we're going to be making a website. So for this example, we're going to use the portfolio theme, and sort of what I've noticed about what the difference is between the different themes, really the main difference that you're going to see in your website is the header section and perhaps the full width section. And the reason why is because the way that the Weebly builder works is that the rest of your pages, for the most part, are designed yourself. You use the drag and the drop builder to design the layouts of your pages, to add the content to your pages, and so the main body portion of your websites is going to be kind of created by you, and it's really kind of the header and the menu style that's going to be kind of the main difference between the themes. There are some other differences, but those are kind of the main differences. The themes that kind of stuck out to my eye and the ones that I want to use are the ones that have got these full image headers here. And with many of the themes, you do have the option of changing the headers to various different styles. But we're just to keep it easy, we're going to go with a theme that we already like the look of. So I'm trying to decide between these two, the leaps and bounds. And the other thing too is there's, in all of these themes that I've seen so far, I've looked at probably 10 or 12 of them. They all have a light version and a dark version. And we're going to get into that a little bit deeper about which one I want to use. The kind of website we're going to be making, as you saw, is a very dark style website. But I've actually found that using the light side of the theme works better, and I'll show you why I think that. Okay, so I like this theme. One of the reasons why is because they already have these kind of layouts here with these different images, and I think I want to use that as kind of like a teaser to dive into each of my different portfolios. So I think I'm going to use this theme here. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this leaps and bounds theme here, and to get started building our website, we're just going to click on Start Editing at the top. Okay, now if you have your own domain, you can connect it here, and when I was building the test site to kind of build this portfolio with, I actually did connect a domain that I had registered at another location. And with the base plan, I think the $6 plan, you do need to register your domain someplace else and then transfer it over. But it is, of course, a lot easier to just register your domain directly with Weebly. It gives you a lot more control. It just makes your life a lot easier. But you can point your domain over, which is what I've done in the example that I'll link to down in the description below. But for now, we can just skip this because we just want to work on building our website. And again, you can use this just as a test to see if this is going to work for you by spending an hour or so trying out Weebly, seeing if it works, seeing if you're getting the results that you want. And if you are, you can keep it. If you're not, then it's a free trial, so no loss for you. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to edit this background of this header to include an image that I have. And so to do that, when you've got a full length header like this, we just need to scroll down here, and we need to make sure that the full length header, or full width header rather, is selected. Click on Edit Background, and then we want to do keep the background as an image. You have these other options here if you didn't want it to be an image. For a video background, you do have to upgrade to one of the higher level plans. We'll do an image, and we'll click Replace. And then here we're going to upload the image from our computer. Now, one thing that does kind of bother me about Weebly for making a portfolio style website is that every image you add to your website, you need to re-upload or upload. So if you're using the same image on multiple different pages, for example, you need to re-upload that image every time. A little bit frustrating, but it works as long as you have access to those image files on your computer. So I'm going to start with a sort of image that I'm most proud of and maybe the kind of work that I'd want to do in the future. And I would recommend that if you're making your portfolio website, is if you're using a big header image like this, to show the one image that's the kind of work that you want to get more of. I think it's a really good way of kind of advertising and getting in people's minds the kind of work that you're good at and the kind of work that you want to do more of. So I'm going to select this Fire Cobra shot that I took here. There we go. Now there's a couple things we can do here that I definitely recommend doing. When you're using Weebly, you always want to look at the very top and at the very bottom to make sure that you're not missing any settings or adjustments that you can make to the various different modules or sections of your website. So in this case, I want to darken the background a bit so that the text is easier to read. I'm going to darken it, I think I'm just going to go with 50%. The other thing to note is that you have to make the selection and then give it a moment to process. It doesn't give you a live preview as you're adjusting the settings. And then click Save at the top. And I'm going to just remove this image. So to remove an image, we just click on this X in the corner here, and that's how you do it for all of the different modules. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new title text in. And all you got to do is really easy. You just grab it from the left-hand side here, drag it over where you see the blue bar. That's where it's going to show up. If you wanted to make it a 2-column setting, you just need to, it's kind of hard to see with this specific example, but you just need to highlight it so that the little tiny, in this case, the little tiny blue line shows up here, or if we had it down here farther, you can see that there's a bigger blue line there. So that's going to make it 2 columns. If you want to do 3 columns, it's the same approach. Put this in here. Good at spelling today. One of the things you can do to help your search engine optimization is to make this main headline that you're putting on your web page reference the kind of photography that you do, or kind of use a keyword term in there. And it's gonna be one of the things that can help your site be found by search engines. And then in the bottom part here, you might just add something like, where you are, what city you're in. And I'm just gonna make this a bit bigger. To make the text bigger, just double click on it and expand it like that. And I also want to change the fonts. And one of the things you can do is actually change the fonts across your entire website so that every time you add new text, the fonts are automatically changed. So in order to do that, we're just going to go up here to Theme. And we're going to do Change Fonts, pretty self-explanatory. Site title font is Montserrat. And I want to make sure that we're using that same font across the different headings. So the paragraph heading, And I also want to use it on the headline text because I kind of like that bigger, bolder look of the Montserrat versus this bird's eye example here. And one of the things I really do like about Weebly is that they've got all the fonts organized by like sort of the style of font. So we've got the sans serif, we've got the serif fonts, and then there's monospace, handwritten. And so it makes it really easy to find fonts rather than just having kind of a list in alphabetical order where it just seems like I don't know, you're just guessing to try to figure out which kind of font you want to use if you're not very familiar, all the different names of all the different fonts. So I'm going to change that to Montserrat, and go back to change fonts, paragraph text. I think bird's eye for me is a little bit too thin, so I'm going to use the open sans. Just going to scroll down and find that. There it is. Where was it? Here it is. Kind of like that font choice better. You can see the text down here, and it'll actually change as you change the different fonts, so you can kind of get a preview of what it's going to look like. Let's get back here to Open Sans. And by default, I tend to think that most website platforms make their text too small. So I kind of want to make this bigger. I want to make sure it's really easy for people visiting my website to read the text that I'm putting on here. Okay, there we go. So now, since I like the darker sort of style, one of the ways to change the look of the theme is to go up here to Themes again, and then you can click Dark. What I don't like about that, though, and I tried several different themes, I kind of looked all over the place, and maybe there's a theme that does it the way I'd like to do it, but what it does, and I think the reason why it does this is just to make sure that your text shows up, but it really wants to make your site name here and the navigation section black. And so in order to make sure that it shows up, it adds this white gradient. Now you do have the option of, under theme options here, of removing the header gradient, but then of course you can't see the text until you scroll down. So that's kind of not ideal. Now this can be changed in the website code. You can actually go in and change the CSS code for that. I didn't actually look into how to do that. And I found that if I just kept the theme light and then just changed all of the backgrounds for all of my sections to black, I get what I want without having to modify the CSS code. And there's one place where I found that I needed to modify the CSS code, and that was for the social media icons. And I'll show you how to do that. And I found a great tutorial online. That's another great thing about Weebly is that it's been around for a while. There's a lot of people who have used it, so there's a lot of like tutorials and guides on how to do very specific things for your website if you need to make any changes or adjustments like that. So let's go ahead and we're going to change the site title to the site title that I want to use, which is Tim Martin Photography. So you can see it's fairly self-explanatory on how to use Weebly. Just kind of click where you want, drag in the modules that you want to use. Fairly easy. The one thing here is that as we scroll down, I want this to be black color to keep with the kind of the black theme that I want for this website. And so if you look under theme options and you change this to contrast navigation, it's going to make it black because this is sort of the light look that they have. And then as you scroll down, they're looking at this, that the rest of the pages would be black, would be white, rather, since this is the light. It's kind of confusing. But since this is the light theme option, that the rest of your content would be white and this would be black, but I just want everything black. So in this case, using the contrast navigation actually works in my favor. And I get if you have the header gradient on, it actually makes it darker up on the top, which is what I want. And here, if you didn't like, for some reason, or if you wanted your content to go all the way to the sides of the page, if you click on the full width body here, that'll move everything off to the sides. I actually kind of like it more centered. I think having the extra negative space on the sides is a nice look. Okay, so let's scroll down here and let's go ahead and change the background of this section here to black. Okay, so we'll click Edit Background, change this from image to color, change the color. Full black would be 0000. I'm just going to use 1111, just so it's not quite fully black. I don't know why. I think that's a little bit better. And then, of course, unfortunately, since we're using the light theme, we need to just go through here and change the text color also. And actually, we can change the text color for the entire website by going back to Themes, change fonts, site title we'll leave alone, navigation. And there's, unfortunately, again, like there's no way to change the navigation font color here that's dictated by the theme with the light and dark, and you can't override that without overriding it in the code of the website. So a little bit frustrating there. But we can modify the color of all of the other text on our website and have that be a default color. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make this all E's, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 6 E's. So it's not going to be quite white, but very close to white, as you can see here where the little circle is. There we go. I'm going to do the same thing with the paragraph text, and this is going to do it for across our entire website. So since I want the black background look, it's going to make it a lot faster and easier for me to make my pages by changing this color now rather than changing the color every time I add text to the website. And here you've got a choice of what you want the link color to be, whether you want it to stand out or not. I'm just going to have it be the same color as all the rest of the text, and we'll just have the underlined. And I think primarily on this website, I'm going to make the hover color a little bit darker. So it's kind of, actually, you know what? Let's just go crazy. Let's make the hover color kind of like a red color. I mean, why not? Yeah, there we go. That's cool. All right. Have a little fun with it, you know? Why not? And the block quotes is already white, so that's good. Okay, so we'll just close out of that. So now we've got our text color the way we want it. Just put in a little bit of explanation text about who I am. And I think instead of having this text link, I'm going to remove this. Again, to remove something, just highlight over it so that the boundary boxes are selected around it. Click X, delete, and if you click over here to build, you get all of your different blocks. Just drag a button in here and just put the button to center. Have the button style be a white button. Another thing that unfortunately you can't do with just a couple of mouse clicks is you can't make the buttons round, something you either need to add CSS styling for, or I also saw that there's some plugins that will allow you to change the button shape. But you can use these kind of default looks to change the look of it. So I'm going to use this white button with the black text on it. And you can also change the button text style. You can change what the button text says here. So there we go. And we can decide where we want it to link to. And I'm going to rename the My Stories page in a little bit, but just have the button linked to someplace for now. And we'll change the background color on this page here to our blackish color. And now this section here is very cool looking, but it's something you'd need to create yourself, basically. What it is it's just a collage that has been created in something like Photoshop. So I'm just gonna, I think I'm just gonna remove that whole section there. Oh, I should add an image of myself here, I suppose. So to change the image, just click on it, click Replace Image, not Edit Image. That allows you to edit the image, not change it. And let's see here, find this picture. I'm going to use this shot of me here. And then I'm going to delete this section here. I'm going to delete this section here. Delete this section here. Delete this section here. And I'll leave this bottom section in place. It's got links to the different pages, and we'll just need to remember to make sure that that looks right later on when we add and change the different pages. Just edit the background on this to make it black and match everything else. Okay, and then let's add another section just below this. It's going to link to the different styles of photography that I have. So to do that, we're going to add a section. Just drag that in right there. I'm going to kind of ignore those things there. We're going to drag in a block from over the side here. Just going to click on Edit Background, change the color, change it to our dark color. Do you really wish that the light and dark styles that they have by default match the header look that I want. And I don't know, maybe it would have been faster to try to figure out how to change the CSS of the header. But, you know, there you go. So what I'm going to try to do here is have sort of 3 images side by side here. Do one for my fire photography, and so I'm going to make another column. So to do that, again, you want to look for the blue line on the side rather than on the top, just like that. So it's going to make another column. Upload another image. This one's going to be for my specialty item photography, you could say. Just pick a random image here. Oh, okay, I don't like that image. I'm going to use this bike image that I have here. And you definitely do want to be looking out for when you're trying to do like a 3-part section like this, or whenever you have images next to each other, you want to make sure that they're all the same aspect ratio. One of the nice things about using Weebly is that if you click on an image and you click Edit Image, you actually have the option to crop it, which will give you these different aspect ratios. So, and these are kind of the most common aspect ratios that you might consider using on your website. So like square, 4:3, 16:9. So if you didn't already have an image that was in that aspect ratio, you could modify it right here on your website and not have to go back into Photoshop or something like that and edit it and then load it back up. So that's really a handy time-saving feature. Okay, and I'm gonna add one more image. And this can be just sort of for my standard product photography, which is also kind of a darker style, you could say. I don't know which image I want to use. I'll use this one here. It looks kind of industrial style, which is kind of the style of my photography. And now I'm just going to go through, add some title text that describes what this is. And then I'm just going to center it. And then I'm going to add some regular text just describing what it is down below it. And then I'm going to add a button that, after we create the page, is going to link to that fire photography page here. Oh, come on. This is the one thing about Weebly, and actually most of these kind of drag and drop style builders, is that editing them can sometimes be a little bit frustrating because they get a little fidgety and things just don't go where you want it to go. Why won't it go in there? I don't want it to go down the bottom. I want it to go. Come on. So one of the things I have noticed is sometimes with the builder, after using it for a while, it gets a little, I don't know, it doesn't work the way you want it to, or you'll see some your layout's gone a little wacko or something like that. So one of the ways to fix that is to just close the builder and then open it up again, and that seems to resolve that issue there. So close it out, open it back up, ignore this setting here. There we go. Now let's see if I can put the button where, there we go. Now I can put the button where I want it to. But yeah, just one of those things. And we'll edit this button style to match the ones we want. And we'll center it. And then after I've made the pages, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link this. I'm going to link the image. I'm going to link the title here, and I'm going to link this button all to the page that they go to. And one of the other cool things that you can do with Weebly, is something that I do really like about it, is that if you want to make this image into a light box, you can click on that, and it can turn into a light box and go up full screen, or mostly full screen, sort of full window, so you can get a closer look at it. And we're going to be using that on some of the portfolio pages that we make. So it's kind of a cool effect there. But for this image, we'll be using the link, and we'll be linking it to one of the pages on our website. So I'm just going to go through and kind of fill in the same style for each one of these things. Just kind of fast forward through this real quick. Another thing you can do here, what I'm doing to kind of match this all up, is you can also copy it. So if you've done a lot of changes to it or modified it, or you just want to make it easier, because in this case I've centered it and I've changed the style of it, so it might be faster to just copy it. So if you just click on this little icon here, you click copy, and then you click this page, it'll add it right down below, or you can copy it to other pages on your website. go. Drag that. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hang on. That's not what I wanted to do at all. Go over here. There we go. Okay. Okay, and then the last section I want to add on the home page here is kind of a link to some of the case study pages that you might want to build. You should think of your website and even your portfolio website as more than just a place to display your images, but it's also a tool that you can use to sell your services online, either as a photographer or if you're an artist or whatever the kind of portfolio that you're making. If you can talk a little bit more either about yourself, and I know it's really hard to talk about yourself, I hate doing it, but if you can talk a little bit more about yourself, a little bit more about your process, a little bit more about how either your photography or your art is either going to help the other people or how it's going to make them feel or the kind of emotions that it gets from audiences, all those kind of things, if you can talk about those things on your website, it's a sales tool. That means that you don't have to do it in person. It means that you can have it on your website and you can use it to help sell your services. It's a really great thing to do. Spend a little bit of time either building like a case studies page where you go through and you talk about a past project that you've done, or just talk about your photo philosophy or how your photography or your art or whatever it is that you're making your portfolio for can benefit the person who might be hiring you. So that's a really good tip on making a portfolio websites. I definitely think it should be more than just showing your images. So for this, I'm just going to add in another section here. I'm going to make this a 2-part section. Add the background. And we'll do image 1 and image 2. So in this case here, I've got a 4x3 image, and instead of fixing it in Photoshop or something, I'm just going to click Edit Image, hit the crop button, square, drag it the way I want it, and there we go. Boom, save. Now it matches the other image. Both of these are the same height, so really easy to do. Let me add in some title text up here. Okay, so instead of being right here above it, I'm just going to drag it up here so that we're getting this full bar across the top here. That's going to keep it from messing up the formatting between these two items here. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've pretty much finished the home page. It's pretty much the way I want it, at least for now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making the portfolio pages that these sections here are going to link to, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and dive in and create a new page. Okay, so as I said before, what I want to do is I want to use this My Adventures page as kind of the main category page between the different styles of product photography I have. I think you guys already get how to modify a page, so I'm not going to go through every step of how I modify this page. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this to be fire photography. I'm going to change these images to have some sort of kind of like a teaser of what is on the fire photography page. I'm just going to edit this one here real quick to have kind of a 4:3 aspect ratio just to fill in. I don't know if you noticed, but on this bottom section here is kind of a little bit of a gap here. So just to fill that in, I'm going to crop this here to 4:3. And I click Save at the top here. Just make it line up a little bit better. But anyways, so I'm going to use this as kind of like the main category page to go between the different portfolios that I have. And of course, I'm going to change this picture out and swap it out for something that's more appropriate for that. But here under Pages, I'm going to rename this page Portfolios, and we're going to add a new page. It's going to be a standard page. I'm going to call the first one Fire Photography. And then we've got some different options here. I'm going to leave them as the standard option, but you can have a header, no header. So you've got some various different options here. We're just gonna go with the standard option for this. Then we're gonna click done. And then we're gonna just add this underneath the portfolios, but just dragging it up underneath portfolios and then indenting it. And now when we click on when we hover over portfolios, the Fire Photography will come in as a dropdown, and we'll do the same for our other portfolio pages that we're gonna create. So now I'm just gonna show you really quick how to make a portfolio page. Pretty simple. Works just like every other page here. Just gonna add the background to a color. You can also replace this with a different image, and I think I will just for fun. Use this image here. I have just the fire show up there. I'm gonna click save at the top here. Give it a name. And then here, now we just need to click back to build. And then we can just really quickly add a gallery module here. Just drag that in. And click on it to upload some images. I'm going to upload all of the fire photography images that I have. I'm just holding down on a Mac, I'm just holding on the Option key to select multiple different items. I don't have very many fire photography images, as you can see, but we'll just put those in there. And then here, we've got a couple of settings that we can change if we want to. We can decide how many columns we want. Since I don't have very many fire photography images, I'm just going to do 2 columns. We can adjust the spacing around the whole gallery module. If you do 3 columns here, it'll also be... And we can change the spacing around each images under Advanced. So if you wanted them all touching like this, or if you wanted to have a little bit of space between them, kind of like that, we can do that. You can add a border around each images. So you get, various different options here. You can also have these various different, you can also have a square aspect ratio for all the images. And then when they're live on your site, when they click on an image, it'll open up into a lightbox. This is a very fast, easy way of building a portfolio page. Now there's another way of building a portfolio page where basically you just add in the images by yourself. So to do that, we'll just create another new page. I'll just show you how to do this real quick. Change my background here again. And drag this up underneath so it shows up underneath here on our menu. Go over to build, and now this one's a little bit more time consuming, but it gives you definitely some more options in how you want your images displayed. And then we'll add another image in a second column over here. Go. Add one more image down here just so you get kind of the idea. So here you can kind of build your own sort of masonry style layout. And if you wanted these images to be able to show up in a lightbox and kind of fill the whole screen, if you click on the image, you can click lightbox. And then when they're on the front end of your website, when they click on the image, it'll open up as a lightbox. So it's another way of making a portfolio page in Weebly. I'm just going to quickly edit this real quick here. The title here for this section. And then we'll just edit the background here to kind of have it match the items that are on this page. Use this bike image here. And then I'm just going to darken it by 50% to make the text easier to read. 60%, I guess. Now I'm going to go even darker. There we go. Click Save. Cool. Okay, so now I've got a couple portfolio pages here. If we click on portfolios, again, we're going to make this link to the right pages. So I'm just going to show you how to do that real quick. So for this text to link over to the correct page, just going to highlight all the text, click the little link button here, click standard page, and then we'll have it linked to the fire photography page. You've got the option of having it open in a new window. In most cases on your website, you're not going to want to do that. There are certain instances where you want to do that, but generally you'll just leave that box unchecked. And then here for the button style, we'll just change this to the white style. And then we will have this button link to the fire photography page also. So now we've got those linking, so that works. It's just kind of annoying me, so I'm just going to change this background to something else. Click Save at the top. Throw on a title here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to change this My Stories page here. Let's just edit the background real quick. Add an image of me. And then we'll add a contact form here, so that if somebody wants to get in touch with us, they can just easily contact us right through the website. It could also probably be a good idea to add your phone number. If you have a studio address, you might want to add in your studio address on here. I'm actually going to drag this down below here just so it's a little bit easier to use. And unfortunately, without getting into the CSS code, it's not possible to change the background of this. So I'm just going to change the background of this entire page, make it a little bit lighter so we can see that form a little bit easier. There we go, that's better. You can also have, if you have your social media and you want to have these linked in here, you can actually drag the social media icons from over here, drag it in wherever you want on your page, and then you can manage the icons and then set the link to where it's actually going. By default, it's going to go to Weebly. You probably don't want that. You probably want it to go to your actual social media, so you would just enter in your social media addresses right there. And then we'll just edit this background just so that it's all my stuff. Just a random picture here. Okay, and then let's just go ahead and change the name of this page. Just click on it. Click on the page over on the side here, and then click on the name. So I'm just going to call it About Me instead of My Story. And you can see it changes up here at the top. And so this is an example that I was talking about where sometimes things go a little bit wacky with the builder. So if you see this happen, all you got to do is just close out of the builder, hit the X button, click Edit Website, go back into it, and then if you go to the About Me page now, you'll see everything's fine. Okay, so then back on the home page here, we just want to make sure that all of these links are going to the right place. So for example, we're going to have this link here, go to the About Me page, which it already is, no problem there. And we want to have each one of these things go and link to their appropriate pages. We're just going to highlight the fire photography text here, have it linked to the fire photography page. We're going to click on the image here. We're going to click on link, and we're going to have it linked to the fire photography page also. And then of course the button, change the button text to say view the portfolio. And then we'll also have this link to the fire photography page. And then you'll want to do that with every single one of the links that you have on your entire website, and definitely on your home page. And then the last thing I talked about was making kind of a sales page or a case study page. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So under pages, I'm going to do a new page, standard page, case studies. And now here, it's really important. I'm not going to do it in this tutorial because I think it's just going to take too much time. But you do want to fill this out kind of like we did with the portfolios page here, where you have it list the different case studies and then link to the actual case studies pages. Otherwise, you're just going to have a blank case studies pages like this on your website, and you don't want that. But I think I've already shown you how to do that style page, so you can go ahead and do that on your own. You can actually, even if you wanted to, click on the portfolio page, click copy, and then use that as a template to build that case studies page, where you can link to your various different case studies. For now, I'm just going to add another page right below it. Call it Beast Build, which is going to be for that dirt bike photo shoot that I did. It's actually kind of a fun photo shoot. The guy's a really clever guy that I know, and he took a modern style dirt bike frame and he put an older two-stroke engine in it. And I guess apparently that improves the power of the bikes, or the power to like weight ratio is greatly improved by doing that. So kind of a cool thing if you're into that kind of a thing. So now here we've got the option of just using the same header we've been using. You can also click the replace header layout and click delete, and then you've got these other header styles to choose from if you want to use one of those. I'm actually going to use this header style here. And I'm going to click save. Going to edit the background, replace the image. Use one of the bike images here, since that's what we're going to be talking about on this page. I'm going to darken it quite a bit. And I'm going to click save. Call it case study Beast Build. I'm going to make this background section here our dark color. And then I'm just going to go through and basically just create kind of a little sales page that talks about how I created this photo shoot here. So the first thing I'm going to do is under build here, I'm going to put in one of the images, another one of the images of the bike, probably the same image in this case here. Add some text on the side. Add a title above this. And then I'm going to add a new section down below here. You know what, I'm going to make this text here a little bit bigger. So to make your heading text a little bit bigger, or any text if you want to do it just for one little section, you can just click the plus icon here. Do the same thing with this. And then down below this, I'm just going to add some text about the preparation that I did to create this build. I'm going to actually do it in 2 columns. So I'm going to add another column of text right next to it. And then down below this, I'm going to add a YouTube video that shows kind of a time lapse of how I built out the set and everything to do this photo shoot with. So we're going to select the YouTube module. I'm going to just add it in right below here. By default, it has a Weebly YouTube video, but I'm going to add in my own YouTube video link. Just going to click on this. Add in your video URL at the top, pretty self-explanatory. There we go. Now I've got a cool time lapse that I've just added to this. That's pretty fun. And we'll keep going here. I'm gonna add another section down below this, hopefully. Oops, I added it above. Move that one down. And for this section here, I'm going to use a background image. I'm going to be talking about kind of the details of the shoot, how I went in and kind of got all the different details that the client wanted to get of this bike. So I'm going to upload another image that's going to show one of the details. There we go. Click, darken this a bit so it's easy to read the text that I'm going to add on top here. Click Save at the top. Add in a title text here. And make this text really big here. Okay, and then I'm going to just add in some text down below this, talking about what I did to show off the details. And then down below this, I'm going to add another section here. For some reason, it's not letting me add it down below, but no problem. I can always move it later. And then let's do move on this page, move down. There we go. Add in gallery module. And this way I can upload several pictures all at once, sort of the detail pictures that I got. And then I'm going to do 2 columns for this. And I'm going to take away all of the spacing around the images. I'm going to make that 0. Leave the aspect ratio the way it is. Okay, so now this kind of highlights the various different shots that I took for this shoot. And then we'll do another section here down below. And then this last section here is kind of like a call to action section. So after they've sort of seen this case study, I've talked about all the different things that I've done. I've shown how I built this set out with the time lapse. Now I'm going to sort of ask them to say like, hey, if you liked what you saw here, go ahead and get in touch. And that's what this last section is all about. And then just to kind of cap it off on the bottom, I'm going to add one more section with just an image of me. So in order to do that, I'm going to add in a spacer here. I'm going to make it a background image. Upload an image of me at this photo shoot, of me at the shoot. And I'm going to just use this to cap this section off. I'm going to click Save at the top just to save it. Increase the spacer so you can kind of see it. And then I'm just going to move this section to the bottom because I kind of wanted to just cap off the end of this page here. Move on this page down. There we go. So now we've got one of our case study pages, the Beast Build page, which is showing up on our menu in the wrong place. So we can fix that real quick. Under Pages, click Done, and then just move the Beast Build underneath Case Studies. As I said again, on the Case Studies page, you're going to want to make it look like your portfolio page so that it links to the various different case studies that you have. Something like that. And then the final thing you want to do is if you're trying to use your website to kind of bring in business kind of on its own using search engine optimization, I'm just going to go through there's a couple of things you can do that are really basic and easy to do to kind of enhance your search engine optimization. One of the things you can do is on your home page, for example, if we go over here to Settings, we click on SEO, we can add a site description, and so this is what's going to show up when somebody Googles for something. So in my case, I might put Tim Martin industrial style photographer. Should spell industrial right. and then click Save. And on each of your pages, there's a couple of settings you might want to change also. So click on whichever page you want to do. So here we're on the home page, click SEO settings, and then you want to change what the browser's headline is. And spelling, thank goodness for autocorrect here. And then this page description is what's going to this is what's going to show up on the search engine results. So this is the description you're going to be using. It's going to show up in the search engine results. And what you want it to do is you want it to kind of entice people to click on the link and go to your website. So you want to be descriptive about, in a very short amount of time, you want to be descriptive about what your website's about, what the services that you offer are, and kind of why people want to click. But basically, you just want to tell people that you are, a wedding photographer, or you are, a graphic artist specializing in whatever. So in this example, I'm going to write, Tim Martin is I think I'm going to write Los Angeles-based industrial. So just a couple of things like that. And you might want to do that for each of your different pages. If your portfolio pages are based on a specific type of photography, and actually even on your portfolio pages, it's a good idea to have a little bit of text right at the top that describes what kind of photography it is, or what kind of art it is if you're a graphic designer, and just have a couple of brief words in there to describe what kind of photography it is, and that's also going to help your search engine optimization. So just some quick, really easy pointers on search engine optimization. If you want more, actually Weebly's got some great articles on search engine optimization, and I'll also be creating sort of a basics of search engine optimization video, and I'll link to that when I have that ready. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, consider giving me a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions on how I can improve future tutorials, let me know about them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.